fun having you here because the last time we talked was in Austin.
Austin, yes.
So this time we just
And I'd never been to Dallas, but I landed in Dallas from Toronto to go to Austin. So that's been my one trip to the airport of Dallas. So this is my real first trip to Dallas.
Well, we're delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
And especially to talk about Cross My Heart. I was thinking, first Three Amigos, that's when we met the first
Yes.
time, and then Inner Space, and now Cross My Heart. All three films entirely different. Was that just the luck of the draw, or did you plan it that way?
No, I think it was the luck of the draw. It was the. It's nice to be able to keep throwing something new so that they can't figure out what you really do, because there's kind of an obsession to pigeonhole a little bit in Hollywood, and if you can turn that around, that's kind of fun. But generally, you're desperately trying to figure out good scripts and good people to work with, and if it happens to be all different, that's the best of all worlds.
Were there many scripts submitted, or are you just now getting to the point where you get lots of things submitted?
Well, Saturday Night Live really opened up a lot of scripts to me. But again, just in general, there are not so many good projects to be involved in that the list is endless, and you have to say to someone, "Hey, flip a coin for me. I have to decide what do I work with." I mean, it usually just seems to fall into place. I'm going to do a film in March with Francis Weber directing Nick Nolte and I in this Disney project, which is wonderful. But it's not like there are two projects and I have to decide. That's obviously the choice, you know.
And what kind of role will that be?
Well, that's a comedy. Nick Nolte and I are two fugitives against the law, but it's. I mean, I've been kind of fortunate in that these roles aren't just presenting one side, because in television I was always allowed to show many sides. By the nature of the shows of SCTV or Saturday Night Live, it allowed me to. I mean, the more you could do, the more you could show. You know.
This movie is so radically different from anything, I guess, that you've ever done. First of all, let me ask you this. Did you have to get a note from your wife before you could do it?
More than a note. A leash. Well, it was a throat clearer. I read the script first and said, "Here, honey, read, and what do you think?" And she, first of all, obviously I had to have her approve it. Yes, I did need a note, is my answer to your question. It's tricky there's major sex scenes in this film.
And on and on.
Yes, yes. It's true. It was certainly the toughest filming of the movie. Annette is a very happily married woman. I'm a very happily married man. We both know each other's mates and children, and suddenly you have no clothes on in your bed for 10, 12 days. It becomes and yet you have to make this real. You can't pull back from the moments of these characters. So, but you get through it. But it's the most awkward time of shooting. Believe it or not, you're glad when the clothes get back on again.
What was your wife's reaction to it? Did she have to think about it a long time?
We do have like the one big success of my life is my marriage, and we've been together for 13 years. So there's so much, layers of trust and understanding, and these decisions are our decisions. So I don't think that she was thrilled about it, to be quite honest. But I think that she also understood that it was a remarkable role, and I had to do it. And again, I don't think she was. But I wouldn't have liked it if she was going after work, to jump into 10 days of bedroom scenes
with Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
Think that over.
I was hoping for Stubby K, but Tom Selleck will. Yeah, that would be bad.
This could now get you off into a more romantic leads, and where you're going to be, bombarded with that sort of thing. Would that be okay?
If the scripts were good they would be. I'm not, obsessed with playing romantic leads by the definition of, so that it could be romantic lead actor dies in crash. I don't care about what the adjectives they apply to my eulogy. Again, I don't like to think in terms of being limited in any way or thought of as one thing. As a Canadian actor, I've always done everything. In American television, I've done primarily characters, but my career has been before those shows, so I would like to think that, as any actor would, that he can have an opportunity to do everything that he might do well.
When you sit, Martin, and you're just in your own reverie and, with your dreams and everything, what do you dream about for your future?
One big dream is a brilliant Broadway musical in New York, obviously, and original and exciting, and the type of show that people would nudge each other in the audience and say, "Only Martin Short could have done this," and that's not bad. That's not bad.
Are you working towards that? Do you have anybody writing something for you?
No, we're just talking dreams right now.
Yeah.
That's something down the road. That's something down. I mean, practically speaking, I have little babies, and they're in, their little schools, and we've just bought a house, and I can't, in all fairness, it would be very difficult for me to do that right now anyway. But it's something that I would like to do. I've had a lot of great fantasies come to life. I realize, as a kid when I used to fantasize about being, having the Martin Short show in my attic, and I would. I was on, Mondays at 8:30, in Fantasy World, alternating with Andy Williams. And I'd type up things for TV Guide. Marty will, Tony Bennett joins Marty tonight, and activist Eldridge Cleaver, and I'd read from the Playboy interview, and I'd say, "Mr. Cleaver, and you say there's trouble in America," and then I'd do his voice, and I'd tape it, and I had an applause record, and this was my hobby as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid,
Was this before or after the movie King of Comedy?
This was much before. That would put me around 19 now. Now, this is when I was about 15. This is in the 60s. And while other kids were, the goal to have a revolution, I was up in my attic going, "Weatherwise," and belting out a tune, to my imaginary world. And then they'd call me for dinner, and we'd tape later.
You were in the attic and Robert De Niro was in the basement.
No, I know. When I saw King of Comedy, I thought the only thing I didn't do was the cutouts. But what's amazing to me is that not so many years later, I had a show where I came out and sang in Canadian television, Right On it was called. And I realized, it's astounding to me that I've been able to have a fantasy world that has actually come to fruition. When I see the bus driver, I don't know if he always wanted to be a bus driver. Maybe he did, but probably he didn't. And so I've been very fortunate in now, and I've been able to do characters and work in fascinating TV shows and do these movies. I've been lucky.
And do Katharine Hepburn?
Well, that's an added bonus, I suppose.
Martin, you are so delightful. I know you're on a tight schedule today, or I would just keep you here for another hour
I'll
at
go
least.
nuts. We got time. Cancel my schedule.
No, but Cross My Heart is a lot of fun, and you're very good in it. I hope it does well for you.
Thank you.
And I hope that your wife will be...
Talk to me again?
Yeah.
Would you phone her?
Should I send a note to your wife?
Did I slip you a Canadian too?
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you. Good to see you.
You live in Toronto? Is that your home?
It has been up until last June, and we sold our house.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because
So
it was
now
just...
you're in-
Well, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we're
Yeah.
just flying back and forth. It's becoming...
So you're in L.A. now?
Pacific Palisades, we bought a house.
Ah, lovely area.
Yeah.
I have very close friends who live in Pacific Palisades.
It's really the one... If you have to live in L.A., it's the one place that has a sense of community and village.
Really?
And some weather, too.
Yeah.
As much weather as... I miss 4 seasons. I really
Do you? Yeah.
miss. Yeah,
We
that's
have the 4 seasons here. Thankfully, we do not have a long winter. I'm not a winter person.
Well, I'm not a big fan of the Canadian winter, actually.
Yeah.
Now. I mean, I find it goes on too long. The
Yeah.
February, March thing, it's like, okay, come on.
Yes, yes, exactly.
But,
Linda, are you doing 2 shots or not?
Okay.
Not just.
This is a wide 2 shot.
oh, I get you.
Look rather odd if you were not there.
Very bad. Bad editing.
Take him out of Hollywood. Okay.
Oh, Linda, after you get that shot, there is one question I must ask him for a special Christmas feature I'm doing. Almost forgot that. Yes.
And you took off the mic.
I know. But it looks
Well, we can put it back. In like 1/10 of a second, we can
Right.
put it back. Yeah.
okay,
So,
that's
a
a
lot of stars.
He's not used to just putting his name on something without being 100% involved in it.
Yeah.
And Army and he are good friends, and Army's ego is very intact, so he really took, it was like, there was never a problem about feeling like someone was breathing
Yeah.
down your neck.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we're ready for questions. All right. Martin, did you have to get a note from your wife to be able to make this movie?
Yes, I did. I should have gotten a note from my wife.
Okay. Let's see now. Okay. Does this mean then that we're going to see you drifting off does this mean then that we're going to see you drifting off into leading man roles?
I don't know if it's any one role is better than the other for me.
Okay. All right. So far, your 3 movies have been so different. Now, did you plan it that way, or was it the luck of the draw?
I think it's the luck of the draw.
Okay, all right. I'll have to get into that part about, okay. With Tom Selleck, maybe.
Or Tony Dow, Jerry Mathers. I'd be happier with.
Right. Let's see, what else did we? Good. Oh, that's a good actor. That is a good actor. Does anybody else remember? Let's see. Oh, The Fantasy. Okay. Martin, when you're having daydreams about your future, what do you think about?
I think about a big Broadway show in New York. Fabulous music.
All right. That's probably enough to cover us. Okay.